Right, welcome. Rachel Zegler's new movie has continued to bomb at the box office. It's not really a surprise. I think this is a bad omen for Snow White, of course. So it's interesting to track, to be honest. Rachel Zegler, sold as the next big thing, has never had at all a blockbuster hit. Like, none of her movies have been successful. So Disney banking big with Snow White and, of course, Rachel Zegler is really, really stupid. Really, really dumb. So I thought we'd take a look. Hit subscribe, ladies and gents, if you are a returning viewer and you're not already subscribed. I can see from the analytics, so it'd be really good if you could hit subscribe. It tells YouTube that, obviously, you like the content. They will start putting it in front of you again. And it's just all round beneficial, to be honest, for you and for me, because you keep coming back. Anyway, yeah, Rachel Zegler horror comedy Y2K, which, I mean, this movie, it's like 20 years too late, I guess. 2 decades too late. Yeah. Like, I understand something like this not coming out before Y2K, year 2000. I don't understand it coming out 2 decades. Nearly 2.5 decades later. This should have come out within the first decade. You know, within 2010 at the very least. So this was always going to bomb because the people, the young market that this movie is trying to attract, they don't even know what Y2K is. They don't have any cultural association to it. Rachel Zegler is essentially a sperm and an egg at this point, right? She's teeny tiny. She's not going to know what Y2K is either. She's got no cultural connection to it. Dumb. Really, really dumb. But yeah, the thing about this is because it's such a bad box office result, it's a really bad sign for Snow White. And I'll leave this article linked down below, but it says Rachel Zegler continues to experience box office woes as her struggling horror comedy Y2K faced a 67% drop in its second weekend. That is insane. That is mad. That's a huge drop off for a film which opened to nothing anyway. Some money, but nothing. So yeah, disaster. Disaster for A24 as well. So when Y2K burst onto the scene, it earned a paltry $2.1 million. So 67% less. In its second week, it's 2.1. That's mad. So it says it's far less than anyone would expect from a movie featuring someone Hollywood has tried to position as a rising superstar. But that scant 2.1 million opening looked like Avengers Endgame compared to what Zegler's film encountered in its second weekend. So coming in at number 13 at the domestic box office. Also, side note, and I always keep going back to this, Terrifier 3 released and earned like $18.5 to $19 million in its opening weekend. Terrifier 3 beat Rachel Zegler. Again, someone who Hollywood really wants to make a thing. Madness. So yeah, coming in at number 13 at the domestic box office, Zegler's movie pulled in just $684,957. That's so bad. For comparison, it fell short of a re-release of a 1954 movie, White Christmas, which did 1.1 million on less screens. No less. Well, no less. Less screens. Madness. So a 70-year-old movie on basically half as many screens doubled Zegler's second weekend box office gross. I love it. Love so bad. Disney must be like absolutely shitting their pants right now. Genuinely shitting their pants. Because they've spent so much money on Snow White. So much money on Snow White. $300+ million on Snow White. Their only saving grace for that is that they filmed some of it in the UK, which means that they get a massive, massive reimbursal of their production budget. Up to like 25% basically. And that is the only saving grace. Without that, without me, my tax, funding this crap, Disney would be... Well, they're still up shit's creek, to be fair. I don't think this movie's going to break even. But yeah, Y2K provides an interesting case study into Zegler's popularity and star power. None of her previous high-profile films achieved major success, and all relied on existing intellectual property or personalities. West Side Story was a remake of a classical musical directed by none other than Steven Spielberg. That bombed. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, that bombed. Hunger Games, I think just broke even, to be fair. And it did the lowest in the Hunger Games franchise. Y2K, the first movie, which was marketed on Rachel Zegler's star power, is a huge bomb. Is a massive bomb. And it is interesting because if you're looking at, the age of social media, the age of the internet, the age of stardom on the internet and social media, if she was a hit, people and people genuinely liked her, they'd go out and support her movie. Like, they unequivocally would go out and support her film. But they haven't. And that's a damning indictment of her. Really, really bad. Goes to show just how unlikable she truly is. And also just how she's not a star. She's just not. So it says this is not surprising given Zegler's outlandish, childish behaviour. Since she was cast as Snow White for Disney, she immediately arrived on the scene with a chip on her shoulder, as if challenging the world to take an issue with a Hispanic woman playing Snow White. I've got an issue with that. I don't care. I'm happy to say it. Shouldn't be a Hispanic woman. It shouldn't be a Latina. Should not be. And don't get me wrong, I love Latinas, all right? I was in Miami near enough every single week at one point. I love Latinas. Okay? I love Latinas. Slide on my DMs. But yeah, it shouldn't be Snow White. Sorry. Like, there's a time and a place. There's the international trailer, which I just did a video on. I'll try and leave it linked above. Where they've given the origin of her name, and it's because she was born on a snowy day. I mean, this is just pathetic. You wouldn't need to do this kind of crap if you just hired the correct person for the role. It's just nonsense. But anyway, she felt the need to clarify that she wouldn't bleach her skin to play the role. Something no one expected her to do. Who the fuck would ever hint that? What are you doing, you mentalist? She also spoke out in a series of increasingly cringy interviews and made wildly tone-deaf comparisons, including likening herself to a priceless sculpture in the Louvre. And then she attacked Walt Disney Animated Classic, calling it sexist and outdated, while comparing Snow White's prince to a stalker. Because that's going to get people on board, isn't it? And then she started being like, oh, free Palestine, and, Gal Gadot is, of course, Israeli and has served in the IDF, so that's pretty dumb, obviously. Also, a little something which is often overlooked, she was part of that strike, the actors' strike. And she came out and said, if I've got to wear a Disney dress for 7 hours a day, I want to be paid for every single time that movie gets streamed. Right, okay. And then also, lately, she lashed out at Donald Trump and also his supporters by saying, may Trump and his supporters never know peace. Which is pretty dumb, and she had to issue an apology for it. So there you go. Everyone hates her. Not really surprised. But it is funny. So let me know what you think down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.